Hello folks, and welcome to another Kent Models how-to video. Today we're going to look at trying to recover glue blemishes on your glass. Quite a common problem when you're assembling a kit. You manage to get cement onto the glass areas and it effectively ruins it. So there's ways of being able to deal with this, and today I'm going to talk about how to do that and what you need to do to try to do that. Now, as always with these things, the more time you spend doing it, the better results you're going to get. So for this video, I'm going to obviously show you the basics, but clearly if I spent more time on it, I'll probably be able to make it a bit better. So I've put some glue purposely on this test mule kit to be able to show you on the back window there. Hopefully you can see it in the video. So obviously what I want to try to do is get rid of that. Now, it's quite common for people to try to scrape that off with a blade or whatever, but of course it doesn't work because the way that the problem that's been caused by the glue is that it's actually eating into the plastic, which is how the glue works in the first place. So as well as showing you how to get rid of that, it's also opportune to introduce this Albion Alloys micro finishing cloth abrasive sheets. Now these have been quite popular since we introduced these, and they've been around for a long time, but they're a little step of genius, not only in trying to get a better paint finish, because you can use it to flat down your clear coats and get rid of your orange peel, but in this particular case today we can use it to try to get rid of this burning of the plastic on the window. Now you're able to do this because in this packet, as you can see here, you get 9 different grades of abrasive sheets. Now these are not wet and dry sheets as you'd normally find. These are actually fabric. So the manufacturer claims that these last 10 times longer than a traditional wet and dry sheet. And the grades that they come in is on the packet, but they range from 1500 grit right the way up to 12,000 grit. Now that might seem quite extreme really, those high numbers, but when it comes to finishing off a surface, you know, what you generally do is start with the most aggressive pad that you want to try first, and then obviously work your way to super fine. Now this goes up to 12,000 grit, which when you actually feel the grit, it doesn't feel gritty at all. 12,000 feels like it's almost like a piece of cloth, but as you start to use them, you suddenly realise that actually they are extremely effective. So what you want to do is decide where to start, depending on the surface, whether it be painted or just straight plastic or maybe even metal, even aluminium, that sort of thing, where you want to start in terms of the grit. So for this plastic window, I'm going to take a bit of a wild stab in the dark, and I'm going to start with, on the back of all of these, it tells you the actual grade on the back of the fabric. So I'm going to try something fairly aggressive to get the point across. So I'm going to try 1800 to start with, and then what we're going to do is going to work our way through finer and finer and finer grades to then get the end result that we want. So bear with me, and I'm going to show you each step. So we'll start with 1800. Now, just like wet and dry, I've got some just normal water here, some warm water, and it's much easier to use these with a little bit of water. So I'm going to keep it local in the area, and I'm going to let the cloth do all of the work essentially. Now I don't want to be too aggressive with it, because if I need to be, then clearly I'm using the wrong paper. So I'll just start. You can see there, effectively it looks like I'm beginning to make it worse, which of course I will be because I'm scratching the window. Now you need to keep stopping every now and then just to see what sort of progress you're making, because obviously you don't want to take it too far. As I said earlier on, the more time you spend doing this, the better your results. But for this video, I just want to demonstrate how to rescue your window. So I'm not going to get too crazy with it. So that was 1800. Now I'm going to move up to 3200. So all of the deep scratches I've just made with that 1800, now I'm going to start to smooth them back a little bit. And as you do this, you need to keep wetting it. Essentially the water acts like a carrier to take away any of the plastic that you've scored off. So it's important to keep doing that, because if you've scratched off a load of plastic, obviously with an aggressive grit, and then you go for a finer one, if there's any of that aggressive grit still in the plastic, of course all you're going to do is rub it in. So it's really important to keep wetting it and wiping it and getting rid of it as much as you can. Okay, so after that's the 3,200, so you can see there what's happened in that I've scuffed it all up and I've made the situation at the moment a lot worse, as it appears. So let's just go for something else now. So there's a 6,000, so I'm getting finer. So the higher the number, the finer the grade. I'll try this as quick as I can. Now you can use whatever motions you want, whether it be circular or straight. But this particular thing, I'm doing it straight because on this back window there are the imprint pieces of plastic there, as if it's got a heated rear window. So I'm thinking if I go effectively going with the grain, as it were, it might be not so obvious the end result, the scratches that I'm putting in. So again, you can see, hopefully you can see on there, it's beginning to get a lot better. So that was with 6,000. Now let's go for something else. What was it got? 8,000. So we're gradually getting finer and finer, and as I'm doing it, the scratches are becoming obviously less and less obvious. And in addition, the original problem that was there with the glue has all but gone. So what I'm trying to do is make sure that it's not localised, so I'm not trying to make a sander a hole in the plastic. I'm trying to keep it even, so that the end result, you can't see the bit where I've rubbed it down. So now you can see it's getting better. Do a little bit more of that, I think. Okay, that's enough of that for the moment. Again, if I persevered with that, I can make it a bit better. And then the final one I'm going to use is 12,000. So this one is the finest in that pack. And it feels almost like you're not actually doing anything. But of course, at a microscopic level, you'll flatten the surface even more. Now, ordinarily, you'd spend probably a good 10 minutes doing this on the finest grade. What we're looking to do, obviously, is polish out any of the scratch marks that we put in from removing the glue mistake. Now, I could certainly make that a lot better if I persevered, but the video would get a bit boring. But you can see just how much I've taken away, and it's obviously a dull in places, particularly on the end there. I didn't do a very good job. Let's finish that a little bit better. Now once you've done this, and you've spent more time than I am doing this, so we've got to the end of our 1200 grit grade project. Now the next thing to do is we need to go even finer and polish it out. So you've seen this before, if you haven't, you can find it in a store. So this is our hyper polish. Now this is a polish, not a wax, which means that it polishes the surface. So again, it allows you to put a very tiny amount of abrasive on the surface. So I'll put it onto these application pads. Now we've got these in the store. These are fairly new. These are actually made by Tamiya. So I'll put some polish on the end there. So now what I'm going to do is use the polish to go even further than 12,000 and see if I can completely get rid of not only the glue mark but the extra problem that I created, which was the sanding marks. Now again, I'll do this as quick as I can. Now with this, the best thing to do with polishing is circular motions, as you can see. Now, again, if I persevered, I could make a much better job than that, but let's see what we've ended up with there. So if we give it a second to dry, and then we'll buff it off and see what we've ended up with. Whilst it's doing that, one thing that I didn't show you was in this micro finishing cloth pack, so you get this pad. Now it's two different types of foam stuck together, one's harder than the other, and this is absolutely brilliant. So when you're doing bigger panels, you can wrap your cloth obviously around it, decide which edge you want to use. So for example, if I was doing this roof, look now suddenly I've got a much softer and even surface to be able to flat it down and make a good job. So what that's going to prevent is localising, rubbing down too far in a particular area. But the soft side of this is very good for going around edges. So for example, like with this car, if I was just to deal with a hard edge and rub down, of course all I'm going to do is I'm going to rub down all of the sharp edges. It's going to make them much more pronounced. But if I use the soft side of it, actually I'm still got the chance of doing that, but that risk is lessened completely. Now let's have a look now about taking this off. I've just got a bit of tissue here for now. I should do it with a microfiber really, but before starting the video I forgot to put one on the table, so let's just take this off. And there you go. So what you can now see, you can probably see from the video, the mark where the glue is completely gone. There's still some extra scratch marks around from where I've been rubbing down, but as I say, that by doing this yourself at home, you'd spend more time getting rid of that. But for the purposes of the video, you can see how effective that's been in getting rid of that glue mark. Now, a lot of people think that when you get glue on your windscreen or your windows and so on, that's it, it's game over. But of course, you can rescue it, but you've got to have the right gear to do it. Now, all of these sheets that come in this pack, I've used these now probably half a dozen times at least, and they're just as good as when I first started them. So when you buy the pack, obviously all of these sheets are all inside the pack, but they're going to last you a really long time. And what I'm finding is that since we stocked these and we started to experiment with them, they've become a must-have. Almost everything that I'm doing, I'm starting to revert back to using these cloths for a purpose, whether it be prepping the body for the first time before I'm going to prime it or paint it, taking away imperfections of the moulding marks and so on. As with all kinds of painting, preparation is everything. So these micro finishing cloths are becoming a must-have for me, and it's one of those things where the more you look at problems trying to solve to get a better finish, the more I keep reverting back to those. They're pretty incredible. As are these little polishing sponges. If I find them, they come in a packet of 3 if you haven't seen them already, like all good things, and they're different sizes. Now for this video I used the smallest one just because I was on that small area, but obviously you can decide what you want to and what you want to use, and you can wash them out as well. So they're a great little product, inexpensive, but for this kind of detail work they are imperative. If you can imagine, if you were just putting, for example, the polish on with a cloth, it's going to get everywhere. You're going to get it all up inside the windows and all the cracks and the crevices. You're just going to make a mess. With this, of course, it's very localised and very, very easy to do. Anyways, if you've got any questions about using any of these products or would like to know more, then obviously you can always email us, get in touch, or put some comments in either the Facebook video or the YouTube video. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Thank you for watching.